r/AskReddit. What item is very useful in a zombie apocalypse, but most people don't think about using it? Boats. I know some of them have people on big yachts in the ocean, but really a small boat on a lake would be safe from zombies. Even a canoe you could anchor in the middle of a lake and sleep in. Something a wee bit larger maybe? Like single bed, tiny bit of storage space, that'd be enough. A friend of a friend of a friend used to have one of these, and with enough food and water, I reckon you could easily live on that thing for a few weeks. Boats are great, but depends on what phase of World War Z you're in. It would be great for the initial phase, where zombies are the threat. In the later phases, where humans are the concern, a boat just isn't that great. It's not a defensible position, and can't store provisions long term. You are better off with a physical structure then. You could use a boat to transport you to a relatively unpopulated island, where zombies are at a minimum, and you could build a defensible structure. I wanna make a horror movie, where the survivors of the zombie attack take a boat, land on a small seemingly uninhabited island, and then the main hero catches an arrow through the chest. Turns out they landed on North Sentinel Island. I live on the 11th floor. I think I would just take off the staircase railings and pour some sunflower oil over the stairs. Also, a bit irrelevant, but I think a lot of zombies would be walking with their trousers on their ankles. Surely a zombie isn't smart enough to pull their pants up. Yes, they dry out and skinny. All of the fat people would lose their clothes. There would be a ton of naked zombie people walking around. A good water filtration device like a Life Straw or Sawyer Mini. One of them can often filter thousands of gallons of water without a hiccup. You can only go a few short days without clean drinking water, so it's pretty likely that you die of dehydration before a zombie actually kills you. Just because there are zombies doesn't mean cholera disappears. Most natural disasters kill relatively few people. It's the cholera outbreak that really pumps up the death toll. And it depends on how the zombie virus is spread. If it can be waterborne, then this is even more important. I live in the UK. Clean filtered water literally falls out of the sky most weeks in measurable inches. I once saw someone buying a small bottled water for £2 in Marks and Spencer's because they had run indoors to get out of the water falling from the sky. It was then that I realized how bizarre life is and gave up trying to make sense of anything. Clean, filtered water can change your life, man. Rain isn't exactly clean and filtered. It gathers all the things in the air as it's falling. Yes, I know that rainwater isn't gonna kill you. I know that in a zombie apocalypse drinking rainwater would be fine, and that pollution would be less. Shovels can be used as digging traps, for gardening, as a weapon, and burying bodies. Can confirm. In the army we used to have these little shovels that were sharp, and had a normal edge on one side and a saw-like edge on the other. It could also easily be used as a weapon, since it was pretty damn pointy. Really cool thing and very useful. Also shiny ones can angle light to start fires. And they can be used as giant spoons. Wait. Spoons? Yes, spoons. For giant soups. A book on local edible plants and mushrooms. Many plants can be misidentified. However, 90% of people couldn't survive off foraging anyway, and if the book gives slightly more chance, wonderful. That is actually a very smart point. Until you find out that the plants can get infected too. Or what if a zombie got some of its juice on that plant? You ingest it, and POW you're a zombie. No water to clean it off with, so you kinda just have to go for it. A bicycle and a slingshot. The bike allows you to cover more ground than on foot and more quietly than anything with an engine. They don't need fuel beyond calories and maintenance is simple. With a little practice the slingshot can take out small game, squirrels, birds, maybe rabbits if you're good enough. It makes very little noise. And you can pick up ammunition small stones, ball bearings, nuts/bolts, etc. from basically anywhere. Unfortunately, I don't know how to use either. I guess I've found my lockdown level up skills. As an adult, if you have any kind of balance in your body, you can learn to ride a bike in minutes. A small toolkit. Few screwdrivers and a hand drill and you can quietly pull apart or mend most things. Also olive oil for both cooking and for leaving a nice slippery patch for any of the undead to fall about on. Ah yes, how to avoid zombies with Gordon Ramsay. First, a touch of olive oil. Just a touch. These brains are ducking raw. Wire cutters. Because lots of media operate under the belief that a chain link fence is a non-trivial barrier. I mean, you can just climb over it. I did it plenty of times in my crazier years. It's faster than cutting the wire, and it leaves the fence secure. Now, if there's razor wire on top, wire cutters would definitely be useful. Throw a carpet or coat over the barbed wire. Might still get some pricks, but you won't get tangled, which is what they are designed to do. If it's barbed wire, most anything would work. If it's razor wire, you're definitely going to need something thick and heavy. That stuff is no joke. A tank. Preferably a British one, as they have integrated kettles. Can't go wrong with a Churchill. Random fact. If you ask for a Churchill in Costa Rica, you'll get a dessert consisting of shaved ice topped with artificial flavored syrup, ice cream, condensed milk and wafer straws. Motorcycle gear. Motorcycle pants, jackets, and gloves are designed to prevent road rash injuries and are really tough. Wearing them, especially if you also use the helmet, makes you immune to bites. Do I still need neck protection? Travel pillow. Sorted. Even just a pair of welding gloves. There were so many scenes on The Walking Dead when someone would stab a zombie in the face and their hand was like 5 centimeters from its teeth. It's such a simple and obvious solution. Cat or dog food. It's completely safe to eat, and usually this wouldn't even be on anyone's zombie apocalypse shopping spree list. So while everyone is killing each other over pizza rolls, sub sandwiches, and brains, here you are with your delicious premium chicken flavored cat food. I'm in the apocalypse, and everybody fought each other over toilet paper. The Great Apocalypse of 2020. Yes, and UGG supermarkets. I know the exact farm store I would be holding up in. They have tools, lots of canned and dehydrated food, live food, if you count the fish and resident guinea pigs, lawn and pet furniture, blankets, gardening stuff, clothes, large cages, fenced courtyard, very few entrances. Everything you could need. Yeah, but it's somebody else's and now you gotta fight them for it. Just jump in on the trend and get infected. Worst case scenario, you get gunned down. Best case scenario, they find a cure and you don't remember about the horrors that took place around you. No, worst case scenario, they find the cure and you do remember the horrors and eating grandma alive, lol. Cloth. You can patch yourself up if you don't have bandages, make Molotov cocktails, clean yourself with it and other stuff. Edit, by cloth, I mean towels, clothes and any kind of fabric. I love this idea. Most people go for weapons or ways to travel, cars, bikes, etc. Yet in this case it might be something to think about as well, if you have time to grab stuff, not always the case. But yeah, love this idea. A crowbar works as a tool in its own right for opening doors and for levering things open, and is also an effective melee weapon. Tie a rope with any object like a simple padlock. Now you have a meteor hammer or just swing it like a basic flail. I was just going to put some doorknobs in a sack. But this guy here is going places. Funnily enough, there is a great deal of debate in historical groups as to if the flail weapon ever actually existed in medieval times. While the agricultural implement certainly existed, a number of arguments from both a practical and an evidential standpoint have said that the flail is pretty much just a bizarre and not very effective weapon. A Swiss Army knife, or multi-tool. Everyone always goes for the shotgun or baseball bat approach, or some of these fine people here mention great ideas like spices or a suit of armor. I'm telling you, as an engineer, there's gonna come a point in the apocalypse where you need a multi-tool. You just will. Yep. Especially if you have to run/travel often, find campground, find food, and create weapons. I would imagine pairing with a blade sharpener/flint, or something to lengthen the life of the multi-tool, would come in handy, but I'm usually not creative enough to survive zombies, lol. I'll run into zombies frequently enough to know that. Armor as in small metal plates or strong leather, like a thin layer of aluminum or strong leather would do the trick against bites, added to normal clothing kinda like steel toe shoes. You never really see someone actually try to build/use any kind of armor against zombies in movies/games. Even a metal armor on the lower part of your arm would make it possible that you can block bites with your metal arm. In Walking Dead Season 3, the governor's assistant wrapped duct tape around his arms to armor against zombie bites. It was effective too. Made me wonder why the rest of the governor's men weren't doing it. Because if every zombie show or movie followed consistent logic from single moments like that, the writers would have to think a whole lot harder about creating dangerous hazards for the characters. By blatantly ignoring what worked once as an apparent novelty, they can keep writing ludicrous scenarios where characters who've been living in a zombie world for months/years somehow still get snuck up on by zombies and tragically lose someone. Just like that, it's the tension that keeps on tensioning. Combine harvester. Using a human-sized hamster ball. Think about it, you'd be safe from getting bitten as you roll around in your personal protective bubble. That is the most genius thing ever. Maybe add little spikes, little enough so they won't get stuck in something, but big enough to do some damage when rolling over a zombie. Rip when you roll down a mountain by accident, LMAO. Should use lube instead of spikes. So zombies won't snag on, they just slide off. Medieval armor. I would like to see zombie trying to bite through that. I would actually love to see a zombie film set somewhere in Europe, where the survivors decide to take over a medieval/Renaissance castle, either ruined or well maintained, and turned into a museum, and relearn siege tactics and train with armor and stuff, to deal with the zombies' overwhelming numbers. I don't understand why nobody's made a medieval Europe zombie movie yet. It would be epic. At least Kingdom is doing very good, so there's a good chance more people will jump on the theme of medieval zombies. Close the drawbridge. The end. Don't forget the drugs. Adderall to stay awake for days without feeling hungry. Xanax to sleep when and where you want. Ah yes, who could forget the essentials? I never understood why people didn't just get somewhere up high with only one door and no windows facing the hallway. So, for my very useful item, I choose a hotel room key. Because eventually you are going to have to come down from that place for food, and when you go back, if anything follows you, you have no way out. Spears. Everyone imagines using a gun or a sword, but in reality spears are the best weapon to use. They're easy to make, relatively easy to use compared to other weapons, require less rare materials than other weapons, and most importantly can keep zombies at a distance, and minimize your chances of being bitten. Also with some practice you can learn to throw a spear to hunt game. Spears may not be the most flashy weapons, but they are the most useful. I'm surprised nobody has mentioned a compass. You can guarantee GPS will be down, and navigation is so important. You could also throw a map in here too, but I'm guessing they wouldn't be too uncommon. And you'd probably want to avoid densely populated places which maps tend to cover. But yeah, a compass is so important.